I think today might be the day.
Browns are going to have
a
whole football coach to themselves?
I think we might get ourselves a football coach today. I'm getting
wow.
a feel. Well, at least there might be an offer made to a football coach today. Getting a stealing feeling here. Now, depending on who it is, we'll see how you guys feel about that. I got a feeling it's going to be maybe the third choice out of the three that people...
Well, who are the three?
Well, it would be Udinski, Schwartz, and Scheelhaase, right?
Well,
Wouldn't it be down to them?
Which one's first, second, and third?
That's up to you. That's up to the listener.
Well, you said it'd be the third choice out of the three, so which one is it?
Well, you know what? That's a great point because I don't think we've talked. I said on Friday, or excuse me, I said on
You didn't say anything
Thursday.
on Friday.
That's right.
On Friday,
oh,
I
my
had Darryl
gosh,
and
you're
Nick
right.
Padone.
I said on Thursday that the reason we hadn't talked very much about Nate Scheelhaase is because of his history. And that if I were to sit here and beat the table over Nate Scheelhaase, I think a lot of people would look right through it. I think that we're probably going to have a offer by the end of the day today. I have a feeling, I have a sneaking suspicion. It might be him. Little older, pass game coordinator. Anybody who works with coordinator or works with quarterbacks, they're going to like. They're going to like him. That's why I think Udinski has had a lot of, but Udinski has been here. He was here all day Saturday. Wasn't he here all day Saturday? Friday or Saturday? Friday, I think it was. He was here all day, like 9 to 6. So maybe it'll, but I think today's the day. I think today's the day we get ourselves an offer. We finally start to put an end to this.
Do you have one that you prefer over the other?
Honestly, no. No. Between Scheelhaase and Udinski? No.
Yeah.
Why? I would say that's probably a terrible thing for me to say because I'm supposed to have a pick, supposed to choose, but neither have called plays, so I can't. When I say that I think play calling's overrated, but I think it just makes it harder. Like if one guy had an offense that you could see right there on television every Sunday of what he was doing, then you might feel a little bit better about it, or you could make an argument. Because I don't see it, then all I can do is go by back channels and phones and conversations, and obviously one guy is going to have the leg up on that. That would be Scheelhaase, right? Wouldn't I know more about Nate Scheelhaase? Wouldn't you know more about Nate Scheelhaase than we would Grant Udinski?
They're both very green in terms of the NFL.
Yes.
Now, Scheelhaase has only been in the NFL for one team in 2 years.
Yeah.
So this is a pretty dramatic rise.
Yeah.
So if he were the next head coach of the Browns, this is very outside the box. Like you couldn't even. What could you compare
both
this?
Both would be very outside the box. Udinski and the only one that would be in the box is Schwartz.
Yeah.
And I think that any one of these guys, Schwartz would be the easiest to me to just take in and go, okay, at least we have something that is comforting in some way. I think a lot of folks just want to be comfortable. And I think that Schwartz is maybe that guy that fans would maybe be a little bit more comfortable. I don't know how many of these guys give you a lot of hope. You know, Udinski and Scheelhaase, because you don't know who they are, I think give you a little bit more hope because you have no idea. So there's always like the lottery ticket feeling to those guys. Schwartz would be comforting. But I don't think that any of the three, I don't know, man. Maybe, again, we're in the wrong business now all of a sudden. I'm not pounding the table, screaming and yelling because I think that Schwartz will still be here no matter who they pick between Udinski and Scheelhaase. So if I still have Schwartz, I don't think I'm that upset.
Well, that was
unless he just kicks and screams and they decide to let him out of his contract. He still has a contract.
I think that's comforting, I think, to some extent, because certainly if one of these two really young guys end up being the head coach with their relative lack of experience in the NFL, that you'd like to have them supported by, veteran NFL guys who have been through it all, seen it all. And if for whatever reason this happens, then you don't have Schwartz, and now they're going outside the team and, bringing in whoever. I think that would be considered comforting.
Yes.
What if we're thinking about this all wrong, and Schwartz is the guy, and one of these guys comes in to lead the offense?
As far as calling plays?
Yeah. I mean, he's not calling offensive plays.
No, he isn't. Well, if you get one of these two guys, but I just think that they want an offensive guy.
It's tough because neither has done
plays, that. You're right, and everything. So you would be giving them. I mean, right now,
So
what would be
better to have them at head coach?
Well, think about it. What would be more of a risk? What would be more of a risk to you? First-time play caller or first-time head coach? If you are, hear me out on this. Hear me out. I have to ask you this. Now, I don't know where I stand on this right now because this just came to my head in 3 seconds. If I got a play caller, I mean, you got to see what's coming up and you got to be able to figure out what you have with your guys. If you have a head coach and he's in an administrative role, because I can't imagine that they're going to go, okay, Grant Yudinsky, you're the head coach. Nate Scheelhaase, you're the head coach, and you'll call plays. I feel that each guy would have a play caller then that they would bring in as their offensive coordinator. Then it becomes, all right, you're administrative. You're somebody who has to give us a plan of what you want to do with your entire program for the year. You're the one who has to come up with the everyday administrative role. And that's going to be tough. I mean, Joe Thomas laid that out in that Instagram video we played for you guys on Thursday. Like, that's going to be a tough thing to do. But if you are administrative and you make the final decision on things, that might be a little bit easier to take than the guy who's doing the every single play, working with Shedeur or working with Deshaun or working with Dylan Gabriel or God knows who else you bring in as a bridge quarterback. Like, I'm trying to think that way. I think head coach is probably still going to be more important, certainly. But, God, we've seen it a million times. A bad play caller, I mean, he could set you right down the river Styx if they don't know exactly what the strong points of their quarterbacks are. I mean, that's the whole reason that people wanted Kevin Stefanski out, is they felt he didn't know how to handle the quarterbacks.
Boy, the play calling thing is something I think we've been on record a long time saying most of it is overrated. Not that it can't help you in a game or anything like that, but it's not overrated when we're talking about guys who've never done it. Like that is a big difference. At an NFL level.
Yes.
And so that is one thing that I look, we knew that their pool of candidates was going to be very different from the rest of the NFL. And yes, the Browns are getting ripped from basically every corner of the NFL. I saw it over the weekend. Fan base is not just like people have said the media. No, this is just fans. Like fans everywhere are like, these are your guys, which is we brought up last week. Like, yeah, that was always
these are your guys.
That was almost always going to be the case. We tried to make a case like, hey, Mike Tomlin was a no-namer. Sean McVay had called plays before, but he was an up-and-comer. But that was a very risky move by the Rams, and obviously it worked. Now, there's been a bunch of guys that have been outside the box hires in the NFL that have just flat out not worked at all. Urban Meyer, right? There have been a lot. Jim Zorn, over the years, we could go through a list of comical hires that just didn't make sense at the time and were bad. So I can't sit here today, and while I have not really questioned the process like some, I mean, I've heard Daryl, I've heard plenty on our station, plenty of people also just in Northeast Ohio, just railing on this process. Like, I knew this was always, unless they were just going to be okay with a retread, and we were just going to interview a bunch of guys who've done it before and say, all right, we'll use them as custodians of the team, stewards of the team over the next few years until we figure out who our quarterback is and then go from there.
Let me ask you this:
we were going to go with young hotshots that have some fun YouTube clips up, and we were going to pray that we found the next Sean McVay.
I think that what you have here is a team that, in Andrew Berry, and I don't know how many celebrations and handstands people are going to be doing, no matter who they offer it to. But you have a team that I think has a type. I think Andrew Berry has a type. I think he wants a younger, offensive-minded guy to work with his quarterback, because I still think as much as the league's changed, it's going to be an offensive league, and whoever can work with quarterbacks the best is going to have a better shot at it.
What was with the Monken desires? What was with him getting the interviews?
I think that there's you want to see what you've done before. Remember, this was a guy who thought that the offense was bad when you had a previous head coach there and saw some of the mess that was there. Is there anything that he thinks has changed about this organization from the past now 6 years compared to where he was here 6 years ago? I mean, that's a quick amount of time has gone by that we've had this with Todd Monken. I think that they were kicking the tires on him. I'd be very surprised if it were anybody but these three guys. And I think that I have a weird feeling that today could be a day that an offer is made to one of them.